What's going on, everybody? This is Childish. We're back at it again with another Summoners War video. Today we're going to be doing something we haven't done in a very long time. We're going to give you guys a little post free removal update on my account. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome to the channel. I want to say about a year to a year and a half ago, I used to give you guys videos after every single free removal talking about the changes I made and why did I make those changes so that you guys can use that to your advantage and improve your account. The reason why I haven't done that for quite some time is because I am in a competitive guild, a competitive community. So basically, the changes that need to be made for me, I make them on the fly and make them when I can, as soon as possible. But for obviously the basic reason, right? It's kind of common sense. I'm looking to improve my performance not only for myself, but for the community. And for me to sit back and say, hey, I want to save the 1.2 million mana because it's going to be more efficient for me to do it 3.5 weeks from now to go ahead and make those changes is crazy. You know, when that's 3.5 weeks of guild wars and sieges that I can use to improve a composition in order to, you know, overall improve our performance as a guild. And so this time around, we actually made a couple more changes during the free removal that we normally do. So we're going to be talking about those changes and why I did them, and then, you know, just kind of breaking it down, you know, with regards to runes and stats, and then, you know, talk about my thought process a little bit, you know, kind of going into this free removal. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard it quite a bit, but if you haven't, let's get it out there. Free removal, it is a process, you know, not only coming on board that day to get all the changes that you need to be making, but making sure that you prepare, you know, right? So obviously having a list of all the changes that you want to make, and then taking that list and prioritizing it as you see fit, making sure that you, once you got that list set, that you're doing what you got to do to consolidate the runes in order to make the necessary changes. And of course, you're still trying to make those necessary changes without crippling everything else, right? You can make this super OP arena offense comp, but if it takes you know, 60% of your runes from your DB10, your GB10, and your Necropolis B10, and all of your teams are crippled. Okay, depending on where you're at in the game, you know, the variety and the quality of runes that you have. Sometimes, if you are prioritizing a particular thing, whereas right now I'm sitting here, you know, doing everything I can do to get those will runes, or maybe for you it's a violent runes, or for maybe you it's enchantments or grindstones, making the necessary changes to certain comps so that you can have your strong, you know, Kairos Engine comp, and then of course do everything you need to do on the PvP side, can be really, really important. The reason why I say that is because I see a lot of people these days, when they come at me or they come at other YouTubers or streamers for advice. They're like, hey, I'm trying to do, you know, I'm trying to do R5, or I'm trying to, you know, push on the arena offense side. And, you know, I'm creating a comp that is essentially, you know, based on, it's like a shield, you know, shield world comp, and I'm trying to get it done. And it's a perfect comp for me. It allows me with this comp and maybe a devolution, I have a little variety so I can push the envelope on rush hour and do well. But my will runes are not there. So they're, you know, they got themselves a Necropolis B10, but, you know, the Necropolis B10 is really not too good. They have all the emphasis on, you know, trying to make the fastest DB10 or GB10 possible, and the Necropolis B10 is pretty weak, or it's not consistent. That just kind of goes to the process where if you are limited on a certain amount of runes and or monsters, I do encourage you to do a little bit more consolidation, not just for the you know, for some of the PvP aspects, but for some of the PvE. You would be surprised to know that you can probably fine-tune a couple of compositions, or you can fine-tune a couple of things that allow you to still do a strong, you know, NB10 team, and maybe a little bit slower but more consistent GB10 or DB10. But the changes that you made, the runes that you reorganized, allowed you to really, really accelerate in your PvP side without taking too much time off your PvE runs. Now, to me personally, a little bit of 10 to 15 second change, it might seem like it adds up all day, but if the consistency is there, I think it's well worth the change if it allows you to create a new composition for Guild Wars or Siege, or create some kind of a team on your Guild War defense that really improves your overall, you know, overall defensive rate, you know, stuff like that. You know, again, when you're thinking at the competitive level. So that's kind of the thought process that, you know, I'm currently doing as of right now. I'm really, really happy with my, you know, B10 runs, my Victor Royal teams. I don't have to make any real crazy changes, but I do see that quite a bit here, so I wanted to throw that out there. Now, as we finish this Necropolis run, we're going to go ahead and take a look at my units that made some changes. We have about 4 to 5 units that have made some big changes, which honestly, 4 to 5 units on free removal day is quite a bit. Quite a bit here, but you know, kind of going back to what we were talking about, having that list, that priority of the things that I want to change, that is basically how things went down. But for those that didn't know, or maybe didn't see about a week and a half ago, everything changed when I was able to pull a new unit here by the name of Amarna here. So Amarna the Light Anubis here. You guys might have seen him reworked a little bit, but now it's obviously been making some changes, and these changes were made prior to free removal because, again, I wanted to make it get it done all day. So right now Amarna is on a Violent Endure. I'm running speed, HP there. Obviously, the Endure set is to use to get him at the resistance that he needs. And then, you know, looking at the other runes, I'm trying to, you know, do what I can do to make him fast, tanky, but more so get the accuracy that I need to know in order to push with this unit here. You know, obviously, I just kind of throw it out there. Shout out to Comp to us one time. That's the grindstone or the enchantment that they gave us for the free rewards and whatnot here. So I use it in this aspect. Why? Simply for what I just said right now. I needed to improve my resistance, my accuracy, while maintaining a decent amount of effective HP. So that's why I made this change here. Obviously, there's a lot of improvements on the grindstones, but where the unit is right now, I'm pretty happy. For my R5 comp, I run a double Kung Fu Girl generally with Lisa and Mi Hao Wang on the front line, and then I run Mi Yang on the back line alongside with Colleen. So in my particular combination of units, I basically have double of every single harmful effect that I need with respect to the hit point disturb. Hit point disturb, I was a little bit lacking. It was just coming from Colleen, but with respect to Colleen's skill, it's a multi-hitting skill. It's going to be hitting a lot. It's going to be for me, it's really reliable. That being said, she's not on a violence set, so it's just going to be able to come when she has a skill available and when it is her turn. So me personally, going from Amarna to Lisa, or Lisa to Amarna, was a really big deal for me. It provides a little bit more sustain because of the fact that he has that heal, right? And we have a lot more harmful effects that we're going to be able to provide: a consistent defense break, the hit point disturb, the branding. All of that's going to not only improve the consistency of my team, but the overall performance of my team. So that's the reason why I put a little bit more emphasis on Amarna, why I made the changes on Amarna as soon as possible. And then once the rewards came in, it allowed me to, like I said, basically take this rune that couldn't fit in here because I wanted the speed. Now I can, you know, make use of it and, do a good job. With regards to Lisa still have, you know, reasonable runes. So when I do, R5 carries on my streams, I still can use her in my second comp, and she will do pretty decent. She still has a, you know, decent amount of resistance. The stats are relatively good. I think she can be used on the front line, but I can run her front line, back line. It's all good. You know, it's not going to be a big deal. Obviously, I'm not worried about the accuracy because she's basically there for the cleansing aspect. So Amarna was a really big change, and because of that, and the fact that I can use it in Guild Wars, in Siege, it just made sense to make some necessary changes and really put a lot of emphasis in trying to, you know, make her stats to be one of my more top units in the game. Could I put in Will on her or something like that so I can take advantage of her on the defensive side for Guild Wars Siege? Sure, but me personally, I'm going to be using her more offensively versus defensively. So I wanted to make sure that offensively her stats were where they need to be, and then because of the fact that I'm not running Will, I want to make sure the resistance is relatively high and the accuracy is decent. But the resistance is a big thing simply for the fact that I want to put it in my primary team for R5 here. So that was obviously that wasn't the number one thing on the list initially before I got it, but once I got that unit, it made the necessary, it made the bump from like bottom to top, right? I mean, obviously it got the number one spot here. Next one up for me was the Varad. Now, if you guys have known me for quite some time, I've basically had a 26k HP Varad with, you know, basically more or less, you know, 1900 defense and about this amount of speed here. Like a plus 23, I think it's what, 216 or something like that? I can't even count right now. 206? I think it's 206. Yeah, no, 216. Okay, so that's 216 right there. Sorry, I can't count. But the thing of it is that I got this issue, and for those that are in like the health and fitness world, I got this issue with regards to like what they call bigorexia, right? I have this issue where when I get certain runes or have certain availability runes, I look at a unit and I say to myself, "Oh my gosh!" Like I understand the importance of effective HP, how how crucial it is, and I do what I got to do to slap those runes on, and I just try to make it the biggest, the fastest, the tankiest thing I can. When it comes to will, I kind of push will on the side, more on the lines of the fact that I don't have the will runes. I just don't have the will runes available. But when I do get the will runes, the effective HP drops a ton. And you guys are gonna laugh because I'm gonna be talking about another unit where the things happen, and it's still happening to this day. And so, outside of that, I basically had these stats, but he was on a violent guard. Varad was on a violent guard. So anytime I got in there in the Guild Wars, sorry, correction, the RTA, it made CC compositions very, very easy to control me, because if I brought like a villager or something like that, they can strip stun, or they can use Okeanos to reset him and not really worry about Varad, because Ganymede can follow through and just reset his skills with that because of the fact that he had no will. Whereas if I had will on him and everybody else that I normally do, basically, they would have to make a choice if they're going to reset Veligil, or they're going to, do they have a unit that can strip like a Molong? There's a couple of things that can be made, and by not having will on Varad makes it a little bit easier for them to accomplish their goal. So I was super fortunate to not only get the will set on him, but actually maintain the same amount of effective HP, actually improve it a little bit by 3k. I was able to improve it by 3k. I was able to keep the same amount of accuracy. Actually, I dipped a little bit on the accuracy from 77% to 69%. But honestly, a violent will with this kind of speed and this kind of accuracy, I really, really was happy about this changes. Just getting it on will was the biggest thing for me, but getting it on will while maintaining the effective HP that I need to, really, it feels like a win. Like I just won the game when I can make those changes without, again, going back to the first thing that I said, not crippling 15,000 other units to get these stats that you want. I didn't, do anything that really, screwed that up. I made a couple of changes, swapped a couple of runes, some extra ones that I had. I made a couple of changes on Beta. Beta got a little, like a small super nerf, like maybe 1,000 HP nerf, just to get a little bit more effective HP on Varad. Now, she is more or less the same speed, more or less the same stats. The only thing that changed, like I said, the HP, and because of the fact that even though, she got the skill based on max HP and you want her to be tanky, for me personally, having that third skill that provides the immunity every 2 turns makes that absolute defense, or that aspect of maintaining the effective HP, because she has the will on her, a little bit easier. A little bit, better for her overall. So I was totally down with making the small decrease on the HP, just so that I can make his effective HP, like, again, not only as good but even better, and be able to get the will on it. It was like a 2-in-1 combo. I improved the effective HP of Varad while maintaining the speed, the accuracy, and like I said, keeping it on will. So it was really, really nice to make that changes. Next one up was this was kind of interesting. This one was originally not a very, very important thing for me, but I definitely did want to build it. Now I don't want to say this is like the next one up on the hierarchy, but I do want to throw this one in here. Harmonia is a unit that I originally built because I did what everybody else does. I built Harmonia because you need the Molong counters. But for me, you guys have seen it on my account when I do the Guild Wars, right? I have my Helena, and I have my Leica. So the compositions that I used were like Theo Beta Helena, Theo Beta Leica, and Helena's passive to reduce the damage taken by the water elements, and Leica's passive, which doesn't allow him to get one-shotted. He only can take upwards of like 35% damage. Allow me to control the damage that I take on Molong, not allowing him to essentially almost one-shot me if he combines, him plus Perna or something like that. Combining that doesn't, take me out right away. But here's the thing of it. When it comes to high-end competitive Siege, we have different guilds out there that are really they're being creative with some compositions, but they're also super fortunate to have Molong compositions. And what they've been doing is that they've been creating certain towers that essentially have literally 5 Molong comps. So what's going on is that if you are trying to push through the content, you literally have to have Molong counters If you don't have, I mean, you have to have long counters in order to get past it. And depending on what time you're playing and whatnot, your guild is really relying on the quality of your units in order to push through. Sometimes that may require you to use, every single counter you have right then and there, because you're available there and you need to take out that tower, close the gap, do what you got to do, right? So my thought process was I need to go ahead and build Harmonia. And even though I have, two compositions that already counter Molong, I want to have Harmonia as a backup to get it done. Now, mind you, I did not have the Violent Runes to get her, get her set up. So I ran her on a double Nemesis broken right now. The goal is to obviously get her on a double Nemesis Will. But, we have a lot of improvements that need to be made on the grindstones. The reason why I'm not, you'll see some of these runes like a plus 12 or whatnot is because, as you might have guessed, right, I ran out of money, getting this all upgraded, right? So I'm pretty excited about, using her. She is not skilled up, so it's going to hurt on the defensive side, but I think she can still do what she needs to do on the offensive side. And, with the perfect composition, I can allow Molong to do his thing. And if their defense doesn't have something to basically get Molong back to square one with his HP, I should be able to take Molong out and then just kind of take everybody else out, here and there. Next one up. When it comes to so this is probably one of my favorite changes that I made, is Rika. The Fire Cold Crow. Now, you guys have seen in previous videos, you probably saw it in the thumbnail if I found a picture for it. I've always ran a YOLO Rika, and she's always been just kind of a random unit to build. Like, I literally put runes on her just because I had random runes that gave her a really high attack, critical rate, critical damage, and surprisingly enough, good, like a decent amount of speed. So I would throw her in since I had a Will on her, it was a broken set with Will, I would throw her in certain, just random spots where I lost a unit in one of my cleave comps. I run a Pumbek, Shige, Galleon comp, and sometimes I would swap out either one of them for, Julie or Rika, depending on what element that I needed. So like in the middle of this week, she's one of those people that I do something with her and I'm like, wow, this is weird. I'm going to go ahead and ride with it. During the middle of this week, I played around with a composition on defense, Gemini, Varad, and Rika. I feel like Rika, I feel like both of the Occult Crows, I mean, all three of the Occult Crows are pretty OP, but when it comes to Charlotte and Rika, I feel like people understand the value of them, but sometimes I still feel like they get overlooked. And there was a little bit of a trend going on, playing around with the hybrid Rika build. Big shout out to Deku the Great, who's also in our guild. That was a really, really big fan of it. I've been having a blast with her just as a YOLO unit, so I told myself, if I'm going to play around with her in the Guild War defense, not only does she, need to, be reliable in order for her to land certain, skills or whatnot, but I need her to have a little bit more RG on her. And I need to try to have, some will on her and whatnot if I can. So now, I was able to accomplish both of the goals, but what you're seeing right now, again, is what I was talking about on Varad. I got this bigger Exia thing going on, right? She is just sexy. I don't even know how to say it right now. She is just amazing. We're running on her a Despair broken set, right? But we have the runes to go well. I just want to play around with her for a little bit, and I want you guys to hear what I'm saying. I'm literally sitting here talking about how much I love these stats, so much to the point that I'm hesitant I'm basically waiting for myself to get disappointed, to get let down when I go up into an RTA match or a Guild War match and I lose that first fight because of the fact that I didn't have Will on her. But I do have the runes to run Will on her, right? I mean, I won't get into it here, but I have the runes there. The thing of it is that the Will runes drop 3k HP, like 150 defense. Keep the same speed. I lose about 12. I think about 12 to 15% accuracy. So there's a lot of enchantments that I need to get in order to improve it. I got some spots to put those accuracy enchantments in, but basically, with regards to her, I need her to be reliable, not just on the her regular skill side, but also having that RNG aspect for the Despair set. And so I'm really excited to play around with this. Again, I'm using this in my Guild War defense now, and I'm having a blast with it. And obviously, I'm going to be trying to make a couple of changes that I can do in Guild War, but I can also take advantage of an RTA. I don't know if you guys have seen on my streams, but I've really enjoyed RTA. I have certain compositions that I just can't counter or I can't take advantage of. So now I'm like, if I can't beat them, join them, right? I'm looking to create certain compositions that just make RNG it just makes you cringe because you have so much stuff to deal with. And considering the 2 AoE slows, the dots, the stuns, combine that with her double AoE to take advantage of the despair set, and then her 30% chance to land a sleep. I mean, the occult girls, both Charlotte and Rika, are just super OP. And for anybody out there that wants to have some fun in RTA, and doesn't like need her with some kind of Guild War composition, then I definitely recommend playing around with her or whatnot. So she's super fun, and honestly, I can't wait to showcase her to you guys. I mean, I've showed her in previous videos, but I haven't showed her at this caliber, like at this speed with the despair set. So it should be pretty fun here. So yeah, TOA. Obviously, I'm going to be able to take advantage of the speed and whatnot here, but the biggest thing for me was the Siege, the Guild Wars, the RTA, take advantage of that. And then, like I said, probably in the next video that you see, she's going to have Will on it. But I'm too excited about these stats, okay? I'm still going on with it. I know I got to shut up about it and move on to the next one here. So now, the cool thing about my next one here is the kind of disregard the unit, more so it's the combination of runes. I've had a couple of random rage runes come along the way, plus with the ones that we got in Guild Wars, or sorry, not in Guild Wars, but the recent event, the Challenger Awards, and I was able to essentially build a new rage set. So I have an extra rage set now that I can incorporate in my comps. I can use some of the rage runes in order to improve, my Lucians if I want to make them, have a little bit more critical damage. But my critical rate on my 2 Lucians right now is so high with respect to the critical damage. The ratio of improving the critical damage at the loss of the critical rate is not value. It's like I don't value that. So I'm gonna keep them where they're at. And then now I got this set on Sue that we'll mess around with her, for Guild Wars and whatnot here. But we'll definitely make some necessary adjustments on certain units if we need to. So I'm pretty excited about it. I've showed you guys Sue and the damage that she can do with half the critical damage on here. So to see her like get that perfect setup and be able to one shot some really tanky monsters, it's going to be really, really fun. It's going to be really, really fun. One of the things that I also thought about is possibly changing these runes over to Luna. Because if you guys know Luna is sitting really, really good now. I hate to like even ruin her. The critical rate and everything's good, but 83% is close, right? But 100% is just super close. But you're like, do I drop 17% to get 62% critical damage? Could that make a substantial change? And that's one of the things that I wanted to hit you guys up on the educational side. If that was the case, what would the damage difference be if I made a change? And so, with respect to like the whole free removal aspect, making sure that you not only, create that list, prioritize stuff, but take the time during the day, on that free removal day to not only change the runes that you need to, but test things out is extremely important, because that may influence the changes that you need to make on your account. Like had I seen the reliability, or maybe I might even been able to improve it to like 87% with like a grindstone or something like that. If I realized that the type of damage that, and mind you, don't forget the attack power, right? The attack power is going to be different because of the base attack on there. So she probably would have more or less the same amount of attack power, maybe a little bit lower because she's running a fatal set. But to think of it, like her stats might have been so good to the point where it might have made the consistency or my speed, or the damage that I'm taking on, it might have been a little bit better. But again, I was at work, so I did not have the time to do the testing that I need to. But I just want to put it out there, because again, my failures is something that I want to let you guys know and remind you guys of, because I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made along the way. Make sure that you guys are taking the time to test all the changes that you're making, especially when it comes to speed, management and whatnot, especially if you got some like certain speed comps or cleave comps. Make sure that everything is in line, so that, when everything is all set and all the time that you spend to organize these runes are good, somebody's not out of order and screws up your whole composition. Now you got to go back to square one, fixing everything you need, so on and so forth, right? Now let's give a little love to the unit that got smacked in the face so many different times. Mr. Amesity here. So we got the Wind Horus Amesity. Now, mind you, his stats are normally at like 246. I don't have the grindstones here. I don't have this one maxed out. I gotta obviously prove it, but his speed's not gonna change. Now, I think I forgot to do this on Sue, but I'll just kind of show you where the runes are at here. So again, the rage runes. Here's the rage runes. You can see that I'm going to have a couple of plus 12, plus 14 runes that I got to improve. But getting back to this one, I ain't gonna lie, I forgot what I was looking at. Immensity. Immensity is one of those units that you don't have to have some particular set on her to do what he needs to do, right? He literally is there to generate you that first turn so that you can use your bulldozer, your copper, in order to take out the opponent, right? So I had a couple of random runes that had really good overall stats on those runes, and so in order for me to improve the effective HP of other units, I stripped Immensity and put those on there, and then of course I put random runes like this where it has no effective HP. It literally is there, for the speed, and so that's kind of the thought process that we take along the way is what can I do to get the speed that I need on certain monsters, our Megans, our Bernards, our Bastets, our Immensitys, whatever the case may be. That's the issue for him. He needs to be fast, and he needs to get the first turn so that he can take the composition that he's bringing in to take them out. And so when you think about, oh, wait a second, the effective HP, right, it's not going to be as good as we wanted. But if you are getting the first turn with the idea of, being able to knock out 2 units, or at least one of the 2 units, right out of the gate, and make it a 2v3 fight or a 1v3 fight, the effective HP on him shouldn't really be too much of a concern, simply for the fact that you're dealing with a lot less monsters. Now combine that with his buff, the defense buff that we're getting, it's going to help him be a little bit tanky while you manipulate your opponents with bulldozer, with copper. The stun mechanics on both of them are really OP, and so you're not going to be taking a lot of damage. Combine that with the crowd control that he's bringing on the first and second skill. It's a really, really nice combination to allow him to stay alive if your stats are not as crazy as it is. So again, when you're creating those compositions, obviously be concerned about effective HP, but if you need speed, if speed is your goal and you know that this composition will not work unless you get the first turn, then you have to make the necessary changes. So, but again, I don't have to be too concerned about having crazy effective HP because, like I just stated, he just needs to go first. So that's why he has some of the crappy runes here. Of course, we already take a look at Sue having that rage rune. So the last few things to talk about are kind of the things that I was trying to improve, but didn't get the chance to do. So when it comes to Ciara has kind of gone back and forth. She's bounced around from a 26k, 26k HP, 2k attack, 1k defense, with right around 180 to 190 speed, to basically what you're seeing right now when it comes to Violent Will. She's obviously one of those candidates that really, really needs the Violent set, and if you're playing around with her on like a Guild War defense or Siege defense, then the Will is very, very beneficial. But I really wanted to, take advantage or kind of change the idea of what I was trying to do with her. I believe that her mechanic of the bombs that she can drop, the ignoring defense, whatnot, obviously it's really nice to have some good damage and be able to do it out. But her overall kit allows for so much turn advantage that I want to capitalize on that. And, with like her first skill, like all the oracles, passing time, being able to take advantage of that. Like, I'm looking to build her in an effective HP manner where her speed is high, her critical rate is high, and her effective HP is on point. Like, I have no problem dropping an attack rune in order for her to get to get a little bit more HP. I want her to be tanky. Yes, I won't be able to one-shot somebody, but if I'm getting 2 to 3 times as many turns as her because of my high turn advantage on the first skill, as well as the high speed on her, I think it's just going to be much more important for me overall. That being said, as you can see, the changes weren't made on her simply for the fact that I did not have the runes to make it without crippling multiple monsters. Could I have made it happen? Yes, I would, but it would have ruined, literally ruined, like a handful of monsters, so we're not going to even deal with it. The other issue is, this is the last issue when it comes to Big Orexia. This is this is the unit that I've really made it my own. This one is the example that I say to people that with respect to how you build it, how you go about it. If you don't have the meta runes, do what you can do to get the stats. I value stats over sets. Outside of the will or whatever you need, like you need certain sets to make it happen, right? Like the will, but if you don't have like the violent or spare, just do what you got to do on the effective HP side to get the stats you need. And if you have an intention with her, use that thought process here. So Me personally, I got a couple of compositions. I'm always dealing with Perna comps, and I have a cleave comp to deal with, like a CR Orion Perna. But there's a couple of other compositions that I do. Molong, Galadriel Perna, Molong Perna X, basically is what it comes down to. And to be able to manipulate the elements that I have in order to force Molong to provide a defense break on maybe a different unit and force Perna to attack my Ethna. I'm really happy about that because of the fact that her effective HP is so strong, she can tank quite a bit. And I'm generally combining her with a shielder. I'm using Kamoon, and I'm also with regards to Kamoon, having the shield, which is my stats are pretty darn good. That amount of shield in combination with the 1600 defense makes it extremely hard to break that shield. I've had times where Molongs try to essentially try to break the shield, or big units try to break the shield and wasn't able to do it because the effective HP just helped out the mitigation of that shield so much here. So that being said, the issue when it comes to Ciara and Ethna is that when I incorporate it in RTA, if they both pass the pick and ban phase, my Ethna is not fast enough to get ahead of Ciara so that she can strip and Ciara can bomb. But the thing of it is that kind of set me back or basically set me, from not breaking everything up, is that whenever I create a composition in RTA, I'm generally, it's not too often that I'm using both of these units at the same time. And if for some reason they lay out a comp that allows me to use both of these units, they never let me have both of those DPS through. I generally run like a 2-3 comp, 2 DPS, 3 support, and so they generally see my DPS as a weakness, and they will basically ban CR all day. So I really never have to deal with it. But that being said, I should have a little bit more speed in order to make the necessary adjustments, and eventually will break these stats to make an improvement. But RTA is not my focus, right? Guild War and Siege are my focus. So with respect to the teams that I make in Siege, that is why she is still the way she is, because I generally use her in compositions that don't have CR, so I don't have to deal with that. But the tankiness that she brings, I mean, everything about it, the tankiness, the DPS, the speed that she's at, I mean, it's just a really, really nice combination that just kind of goes to remind me that you don't have to have the perfect runes in order to make her do what it do. I think this can kind of go for any unit. Play around with the runes that you got. It's not about what you got, but making the best of what you got, and you'd be surprised as to what kind of compositions or what kind of teams you can develop because of that. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Ethna has literally generated the majority of my offensive wins simply for the fact that she's able to not only do good damage, but tank, those Pernas when Perna goes ham. So now down the road, I will be looking to improve her speed while maintaining the effective HP, but that's kind of where she is at right now. As far as the remainder of the changes, there wasn't really nothing to take note of. Gemini is still at the same speed, but just a little bit less effective HP because I had to make the improvements. Chiwu is, holding on to some runes right now. He has one of the real runes that I was showcasing to you guys. There's one, and I think the other speed rune. Where's the speed rune here? There's a speed rune here, and these are the two runes basically for Rika. This is what I'm going to slap on her, but outside of that, a couple of units got changed. The one unit that I will be building, or if I haven't showed you guys already, is the Triana. I didn't throw any runes on her because again, I still want to get her up. I want to get her leveled up and get her figured out. But her passive, being able to offset that incoming damage that may cause an ally to die, I think it's a really, really unique passive. I've had a lot of people speak to me along the way. It's like, man, dude, where you at with that Triana? You gotta drink the Triana juice, man. Get some of that TJ in. She's actually a really, really good monster, and unfortunately, I don't have the skills to make her shine. But I had a lot of great recommendations say even though you don't have the skill ups, you can still do what she needs to do offensively if you create certain compositions. So in order to have your units tank certain other monsters, having that passive for her because she's not going to get targeted is really, really strong. So that's where I'm kind of at with that. As always, guys, if you have any questions with regards to any of my units, you can check out swarfarm.com/profile /ChildishPlays, and the C and the P are capitalized. I'll leave a link in the description down below if you guys want to go and check that out. But until that time, guys, I hope this video was helpful in some kind of way. And if it is, please feel free to hit that like button. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comment section down below, and I will get you all in the next video. Take care.